last year, AI moat being introduced and kind of pushed to the users. Finally, it's gonna end up as, you know, dead internet without people, just AI agents probably. So we will switch from classical websites maybe to feeds. We don't know yet, but when I'm working with my clients, they often ask me, it's all changing, should we change strategy? Should we have a new strategy? So after all, I believe that strategy survives all those changes, and after all, it's about answering the client's needs and creating some value. So good strategy should survive that, and I want to inspire you today how to create such a strategy and how to execute it. The major problem is that in many campaigns, in many offerings, the thing that we call strategy is actually a plan. And what's the difference between plan and strategy? Plan is something that you control, something that you have under your control, so you can plan, we're going to publish this amount of posts for these topics, we're going to acquire this amount of links, run some audits, and the KPIs of the plan are these publications, these content pieces, but these are not true KPIs that your client is interested in, right? So strategy is more about kind of wishful thinking, let's say, kind of a projection, what you expect to happen where you actually don't control things. It's about not your spendings, but your client's spendings. It's the strategy KPI is to change perception and to impact decisions of other people to spend their money. So we are talking about strategy in context of marketing, obviously, not a war strategy. In marketing, strategy is hardly executable without brand. Brand is kind of essence of marketing strategy, so we'll focus on that as well. And let me just tell you what brand is, because there's a lot of misconceptions. Brand is the essence of semantics, we can say. It's creating, engineering the meaning to something previously undefined. Brand is not a logo, it's not your name, it's what is behind that. What is the message that you create and send, and what stays in user's mind after receiving that message. So branding is design of perception. And how to do that? It's not that easy, but it's manageable. Warren Buffett said that good business is like a castle, like a stronghold, and to protect it from the competitors, to protect your position, you have to build moats around it. And so the moat is something that protects your business. And he said that he wants sharks in the moat, or piranhas in another quote, to keep away the competitors. And in fact, the most important, the most essential moat, according to Warren Buffett, I think we can agree, is the brand. Because well-designed brand that actually resonates with people is something that really protects you and keep them with your business. And the most important thing you need to remember is that brand is not a name, it's not a logo, it's not even something that you declare, but it's something that stays in users' minds, so it's how you are perceived. And how that translates to SEO, because obviously we are at SEO conference, so I want to translate all those business marketing concepts to SEO. So in SEO, brand is a trust layer, because it kind of confirms the demand, confirms that there are people in the real world that are looking especially for you. So Google trusts you more then. And the brand traffic is also means engagement, because they want specifically to reach your page. It's not a generic query that will result just in opening your page in one of the tabs and closing it just after several seconds. So it's very important, because if you have this trust layer and you have engagement, then Google finds you valuable, worth indexing, worth presenting to their users. And if Google presents you to their users and it doesn't translate to satisfied sessions, to engaged sessions, then Google will think, okay, you're wasting our resources. And it's something you don't want to be accused of, right? There's a fresh article by Mary Haynes about user engagement as one of the most important signals in SEO. I totally agree with that approach, because all other factors, the things that we control, like the things that we can plan, right? So keyword research, content optimization, internal linking, all the offsite signals. These are just, signals that Google can calculate and make a guess. Okay, maybe this website will be a good answer for these users, but the user signals, the user behavior, the user engagement is the thing that actually confirms or denies this guess by Google. And if it confirms that the previous calculations were good, you will stick to the results, right? If user signals are negative, they leave your website, they don't come back, no links, no content optimization will help you in long term. So, how to design the system that actually translates to this trust and engagement? Added value is like a cliche, or like someone may say it's a buzzword, but added value is something really essential, not just in theory, but also it is very often mentioned in Google documentation. In Google Raters search quality guidelines, probably you know them, it's mentioned 39 times. And the word value itself 56 times. So any spam system, any definition of low quality websites mentioned added value, if the website has added value for the user or not. So this is quite the essence of how Google wants to promote some pages and devalue the others, right? You have the same added value logic in helpful content system definition in the documentation. They mentioned that as well, like first-hand experience and added value in review system, previously known as review update. So in multiple points of Google documentation, they mention added value. So if you go through the search Google Raters quality guidelines, yeah, I mixed that a little bit, but you know what I mean. You can read that if you just rephrase content from other pages, you mix something that was already described, you just present something that was already in Google in a very optimized way with good links, etc. It's still spam by Google's definition, if you're not adding any value by yourself. So there is no reason for long-term promotion of your website. So added value. How to actually create added value? Here comes the most important and most cited answer in SEO. It depends, right? But let's not stay here. Let's focus on what it depends on. And it depends on the users you want to target, right? So added value is something very subjective. It depends on the user's needs. So you cannot just, have universal rules for added value. You need to focus on your audience. So the workflow you should start using before keyword research, before competition research, is defining your ideal customer profile. Research their needs, define buyer persona, because it's sometimes it's different than ICP definition, because ICP is the definition of your ideal company that is buying from you, or ideal organization or whatever. And buyer persona is sometimes it's different, because the user that reads your website, doing research, qualifies some potential partners to work with. Sometimes it's like an assistant of a person who makes the decision. Sometimes it's not a CEO, right? So you also need to think about the actual user that's going to use your website. So ICP and persona, and then create content that answers their needs, their pain points, etc. So, quick workflow, how to create ICP. Obviously, you need to analyze existing data, review best customers if it's already running business. You can dig into metrics like retention, lifetime value, fast sales cycles, and define who is the best type of client for you, who is actually driving your business, your growth. Because it's very important from perspective of your strategy or the website you're working on to focus on core target, not on everyone that could be potentially interested in your stuff. They won't be engaged. Focus on the audience that will be engaged most and actually drive conversions. Then it's called in ICP model, it's firmographics, so all the details about the company, right? Company size, industry, revenue, geographical location, all the simple things. Also, we are doing this in digital marketing, so technology stack, software they use, tools they already using. This is also a very important context for them if you are selling something related. Pain points and goals. So understand the true problems that are behind their queries to solve them and address them in your content. Then you create a profile, synthesize that data, and you create fictional perfect fit company. And it's very important to to have it updated, to have it submitted, sent throughout the organization or the agents you are working with, just to have this anchor, this reference point that you are always focusing on them. Also, buyer persona, right? Similar flow. Gather the data, then group similar users, create detailed profile or profiles, because you can have several personas depending on project, and then create also make a list of pain points. It's very, very important, not what they are looking for, but what are the problems behind that. And then describe contextual scenarios. It works really well if you are creating drafts or writing with AI, with LLMs, because then they know what context to put into the content that will resonate with the audience. And then distribute the personas between all people involved in the process, like content creators, marketers, or the agents, or Cloud Code probably, or some repositories you're using as a RAG or whatever. There are multiple data sources you can use, and now it's really easy, even for non-technical person, to set up API connection with Cloud. You can pull data from Google BigQuery, from Google Analytics. I also encourage you to use Microsoft Clarity. It's free, it's really easy to set up, and it gives you additional data from comparing to Google Analytics, because you can also go through recordings of user sessions, something like Hotjar, for example, but it's free. And Bing Webmaster Tools, a very undervalued tool, but I recommend setting that up. Recently, they give you a list of grounding queries in Copilot and their partners, and I was surprised how many, what amount of data I could receive by that. I thought it's going to be like really empty report for example, for Polish websites. It is not. And setting that up is just, several clicks. So do that. If you have this workflow already, in your kind of mind, you plan to do that, it's really useful to create agents or simple skills in Claude, and other LLMs use them as well already. So you can define a repetitive workflow, the procedure to define the buyer persona and ICP, and then you can store it as a markdown file, which is really clear for other tools to read from. I also encourage you to use, for example, Obsidian. I just started using that, but you can also use Notebook LM or any other tool that allows you to gather data, gather concepts, build kind of like internal knowledge graphs. It really helps you validate the connection between some ideas, offerings, users' needs, etc. It's like a virtual database for your project. And then, very important thing, if you have this ICP and buyer persona with all the pain points and data about the users, you can run a content audit. And content audit, we used to focus on keywords, titles, sometimes number of words or something like that. And it's not the point. You should focus on alignment to ICP and buyer persona. And it's more important than any other aspect of content audit, I suppose. So this is also not only about the engagement and about marketing, it's also about Google's algorithm, because this context, this unique approach, this angle, the way you are doing things, your answer for customers' needs, this is what makes your content irreplaceable, unique, and it's your brand actually speaking. And Michael Porter, classical marketing thinker, probably you heard about him. Who heard about Michael Porter? Raise up your hands. Yeah, several people, nice. For the rest of them, I recommend the article. I've put a link here about differentiation and how to gain competitive advantage by structuring your brand and your business presence online. So it's all about differentiation. And for Google as well, if you just copy and mix other guys' stuff, you're just, another website. And if you have unique angle, unique framing, then you are all good. So, simple rule to validate your content quality. If any of your competitors could swap your brand in your content, or just take your content and publish on their site, and it would work, you have no frame, you have no unique angle. And probably also from Google's perspective, you're not matching criteria of information gain patent. Have you heard about information gain? Yeah, so information gain is one of the essential layers of Google algorithm right now, I suppose. So it's very important to remember that. It's also very important to remember that strategy is not only what we want to do, but also what we shouldn't do, what we are deciding not to do. Because if you focus on one primary goal, you need to think about trade-offs. You cannot optimize for everything. Optimize for one thing, and trade-offs come with that. Other classical marketing rule, there were two guys, Ries and Trout. They published a book called 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, and they are really up to date. And one of them was very important: if you cannot be a leader in your category, set up new category, right? It's about niching down, about focusing on site focus score. It translates to idea of a blue ocean versus red ocean strategy. Also very important, if you want to be the leader of your category, it's very useful to think about a word, a term that will come with that you will associate your brand with in user's mind. So own a word in the mind, and simple examples. For example, Volvo is associated with safety, right? Google search, they do many other things, but we think about Google, we think about search. And in our industry, Korai, topical authority, it's kind of, he didn't coin that term, but it's the term that we associate with him because he developed the whole framework. Sergey Lakhtinov, now recently he published a book about search retrieval, which is very, very interesting, like extension of topical authority approach and semantics SEO approach that is very useful for AI search right now. So, become top of mind brand, and if you are top of mind brand in users' perspective, you're good. You have this branded search. But also, if you are top of mind kind of brand web entity for retrieval system, for search system, then you are promoted in search results, in answer systems. So it's like kind of like the same logic, same goal, but different decoding. Another framework you can use for your strategy and execution, Boston Consulting Group matrix. It's like a four square matrix, depending on market size and growth. And you can kind of translate it to your content portfolio, which content performs, underperforms, which is aligned to ICP, which is totally not aligned to ICP and buyer persona, and you should cut it off. If you don't know BCG matrix, read about it a little bit. It's not complicated. It's very useful for business itself, but also for SEO. You can also use other tools like SEO business, like business model canvas, adapt it, kind of validate your idea, validate your client's idea, because if you're running SEO for someone else, they often don't have a proper business plan, proper strategy, so sometimes it should be our role to kind of help them develop the proper strategy, help them understand that, because without that you won't be able to scale it online. Another thinker, Michael Rappa, defined business model archetypes that translate to different approaches in communication, in marketing. But in SEO, we also have different business models. So if you focus on any of them, you should have like a framework ready, schemes to work with them, because semantic SEO, offsite communication, auditing even, tool set for publishers, for e-commerce, for directory, it would be a little bit different. So, so prepare for that. And we are coming to this growth engine thing. It should be structured, reputable system that ensures sustainable growth. It's not like a one hack to rank. It should be sustainable, repeating process. Because if you get this trust and engagement, then you confirm topical authority, you rank, you get clicks, it stimulates nav boost, it makes you stick high in the rankings. If you publish next content that is strategically aligned to all those things, then it starts ranking for new keywords and you keep on growing. The most essential questions you need to answer and remember about: what do you do, for whom, so your audience, what do they need, and why they should trust you. So it's not only declaring we are best at something, you should also give some evidence. And if you have that strategy, the customer-oriented strategy and differentiation from your competitor strategy prepared, it kind of generates everything around your web presence, because it translates to hardly any activity. If you have that structured in Obsidian, in Claude, in any Markdown or any other system, then you can create other deliverables, like you have your content semantically prepared, aligned to your customers, but also you can kind of use it, adapt it for LinkedIn activity, Reddit, any social media posting, YouTube scenarios, press releases, whatever. It all should be like extension of your brand communication on your website. And also after you reach those people, you get leads, your newsletter, your community management, your events should be all aligned to the strategy. And here, practical case I'm working currently with, Growbots. They used to be a very popular startup. They achieved, they got into acceleration program, 500 startups in US, like 10 years ago or so. And they were AI-powered, obviously, SaaS for cold mailing. But now they decided to kind of pivot, like to change their business model to B2B lead generation service for small businesses in US. So they have tons of links, like really good links from Forbes, etc. But they are all referring to cold mailing, outbound sales, this kind of stuff. So we need to reposition, like recreate, change the meaning of their brand in users and systems, retrieval search systems perception. So it's a hard task. So the playbook consists of matching existing positioning, because if you're gonna work with any client, they probably have some presence. Google knows something about that, so you need to understand how Google perceives that entity. Then transition framing, co-occurrence, very important to create very specific messaging around your brand, to use specific entities, attributes, values, you want to be associated them and populate them all across the internet. Mention old and explain evolution is very important. If you just change your communication from day to day, it's gonna be really messy. All those systems going to be confused because they won't understand how old signals translate to current communication. So it's important to build bridges. Also disambiguate. So it's about saying very clearly, we are not that, we are that, right? Not just declaring who we are, but also setting up the boundaries. And it's about coherent, consequent communication all along profiles in social media, directories, your website, but also external sources, so-called external sources of truth, really shape your how you are perceived by all those systems. You can use schema, same as property, to show, to indicate other sources that are telling about you. And continuation and consequence is the key. And my process for that restructuring, pivoting the brand consists of six stages. I will show you just like a reference, my system that I've built. It's called Bucks system. Bucks like American dollars because it's about making money. No, just kidding. It's a brand, UX, and semantics because it kind of rely on those three territories. And first thing is strategy briefing, really connecting all those things I mentioned before, like who we are, what are we talking about, what are the evidence of our competence, what is our competition, our audience, etc. And I have like, you don't need to read that, obviously, but I have like as my dashboard where I note all those things and I export JSON to Claude, make Claude interview me about the details and verify if it's consistent. Because sometimes you can put something in this field, something in the other field, define your goals, define your competition, your differentiation, but it doesn't match. And LLMs are really good at this kind of consistency checkup. So it's really, really useful right now. And this is just the first part of this strategic briefing, so really a lot of information, but really, really useful later on. So I go through the brand strategy, the positioning statements, go through all these areas like personas, offerings, competitors, your brand, your current exposure. So it all adds up. It all needs to be consistent. You need to check consistency of all of those. And it's just the first stage, strategic brief. Then, entity attribute value structuring. This is very useful approach that LLMs understand. You can obviously use another approach, but I verified it, it works. So all the things that you established in your strategy and your goals and competitors and your audience pain points should translate to what you are talking about, and these are special angles, the things that you focus on that translates to the structure, to the actual kind of content plan, topical map as a strategy behind it. Then enrichment. So in classical topical map approach, semantic SEO approach by Koray. It's kind of like evolution from raw topical map to actual topical map that is verified by demand, by what people are looking for. So it's also important one to make strategy that actually reflects what's going on online. Obviously, you can create demand by other marketing activities, but in the essence, in search, in answer engine optimization, however we call it, it's answering actual needs. It's inbound marketing, so we need to map this demand, how those users act online. But it's important not to start with that, not to start with keyword volume, with keywords itself, but with semantics, with what you are actually offering, what you are actually selling, what are the users' needs, and then verify that by demand. And it produces you a lot of like touch points in search engines, in AI engines. So it gives you kind of execution plan. Stage 4, map generation. The visualization of that is not that important. Actually, topical map is the strategy behind the content that keeps you consistent and focused on semantic side of the whole operation. And semantic is not just buzzword. Semantic, by definition, is about meaning. So it keeps you consistent about your communication. What do you mean and why? Why do you do that? Stage 5, content briefs. It produces the specific content briefs for category pages, for posts, for service pages, whatever, based on this previous strategy. I encourage you to define several types of content templates, so not all your content is like by default the same scheme. It also should be aligned to specific user needs in a given topic. And it's very useful to adapt it to different business models, because there will be other templates for B2B company, other templates for publisher, other templates for e-commerce, right? And if you are afraid that this approach, this entity-based approach, not keyword research approach, will produce not so many content ideas, then just make this equation. Personas by pain points, offerings, and templates give you mix of dozens, sometimes hundreds of angles, framings, intents that you can target around a specific topic, because intents is what we are focusing on, right? So this way you create unique angle, unique framing, and that translates to information gain, which gives you a boost in search. And stage 6 of those process is documentation. So I created a system that creates presentation slides, creates a strategist document, so your client and your team, the copywriters, everyone is aware of what is our strategy. Strategy shouldn't be something, secret in CEO's desk. It should be populated and understood by the whole team. So after designing it, after implementing that, it also comes with other activities like AI visibility analysis and optimization by all those external sources, the co-occurrences, etc., brand mentions. Also content pruning, cutting off everything that is not performing. In my system, I want to adapt Google Analytics and MS Clarity API data for a feedback to constantly monitor which pages are underperforming in terms of engagement. And if they're underperforming, it means that we've done something wrong. Maybe it's a matter of lead, maybe it's a matter of addressing right people. It's something to verify. Just remember that once you publish all of those information, it's not like you're done. You need to verify if your plan was aligned to the strategy. So new content, offsite distribution, it all comes together. And this approach is the growth engine. It's not a hack. It's not like a technique. It's a system for constant growth, as I mentioned. Because of this feedback loop, user feedback loop back, you constantly verify what's going on and optimize for engagement and for trust. And honorable mentions, it wouldn't be possible for me to create and understand this system, to make these additional layers with conversions, with external activities, all the email and LinkedIn policy that come from the strategy, without these foundations made by Koray and Sergey. So I really recommend following them, following the teachings, check out the recent Sergey's book, check out Koray's course, because it's very eye-opening, and it allows you to structure your thinking and then your other activities. And SEO without business strategy, without that structure, without decision architecture behind all your actions, is just tactics. So it's activities without the strategy. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you for organizers, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Simon, for a presentation.
Any questions?
Yes, there are several questions, so I would like to ask your input for one of them. The rest I will ask you to answer in private on Vova app.
Sure.
From a SEO perspective, what tactics can an iGaming company use to create a positive user engagement and build a memorable brand experience rather than just driving clicks?
No, so it depends on the business model itself, because a lot of iGaming companies are actually affiliate, right? So it depends if you are just a middleman or offering something of yourself. It changes the strategy totally, because it's the same. I have more experience in e-commerce industry than iGaming, so let me just reframe it. In e-commerce, if you are selling something that you produce, you focus on the product itself, and you're building brand around that. And if you're just reseller, multi-brand e-commerce, then you need to focus on something else. Your brand is the delivery, the user experience, something how you provide those goods. So I think that in iGaming, from the strategy perspective and user perspective, that would be kind of useful to define. Are we focusing on those, products, or the service of delivery itself, like kind of easy access, or I don't know. I'm not working with that industry that much, so I don't know any practical examples. But this way of thinking should be important, to focus on what actually differentiates you from the competitors.
Actually, what you can control, so the experience you provide rather than the actual product you affiliate for.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just look at Amazon, right? They didn't have their products. They kind of revolutionized user experience, how they deliver, how they make you access all those products. So, yeah.
I appreciate that. Was Simon. A round of applause goes to you.
Thank you very much.
So I'll start off today with a bit of a personal problem that I encountered myself. So being a startup founder, well, when I started last year,